Hello. Hello. Welcome everyone to the stream. Mixing it up a bit today. Not doing 100% feedback review stuff, which I'm happy about. Feel like it was getting a bit samey. Not a lot to offer other than to the individuals that I was giving feedback to, hopefully, anyway. I just want to try and make it more useful for everyone as a group, as a whole. I can see myself but delayed on the other screen. Let's not see that, shall we? There we go, like that. Cool, how's it going, guys? How are we all today? Is my audio okay? Looks like it's okay on the thing. Having some nice camera issues before the stream, which was very good, very useful. Had to restart my computer, so come on, let's not moan now. Let's not moan. Just gonna finish setting up a couple of things in the background. What's up, Osna and AJ? Got a couple of messages from Daria Rabin and Lord Luigi as well. How are we doing, guys? Alright, what did I have set up? There's just, I feel like I'm going so many different places with this stream. I had so much set up. I was like, right, I just click this part at this moment, and then I had to restart my computer, so it's just all closed, which is fun, very fun. If I open this audio, is that gonna just play? Hopefully not.
Come on.
Oh, spoilers. Okay, that's for later. What else did? Okay, I had that open. Why don't I, while I set some stuff up, I thought it could be fun to just play some reference. So why don't I just do that? Okay. Christos, how you doing? Look at that little title page and everything. Reference. This is my whiteboard. Hey Bailey, how you doing? Animation analysis of animation or videos. Yeah, so Bailey, we're going to be doing some analysis of people's work that they've submitted through the Discord. But first we're going to talk about reference, and specifically about reference workflow. So I'm going to be hopefully not too cringily. Is cringily a word? Filming some reference, taking you guys through my process of getting that out. And then editing it, and just basically the whole process of that. So while I finish sorting out a few things in the background, to be honest, I think I'm already sorted, but why don't I play some reference? Hopefully you guys can hear it. Turn it up just slightly.
Okay, I'm ready. Throw me my wand! Or, even better, watch this. Digby the good dragon to the rescue!
It's quite long. So this was from my time in TV. So the quota for this was...
No, wait!
I think it was 2 minutes I had to do on this in 4 weeks.
The night.
I guess we don't actually need to hear the audio for this. Let me know if you guys do want to hear the audio, but I'm just going to kind of talk over it instead, which I think will be better. So I kind of just went in early one day to work, and that doesn't mean going in early and then staying till the normal time of finishing work. We had flexi time at the studio, so I went in early, finished early. It just meant no one was around, and I didn't feel any self-consciousness about filming my reference, and I would basically just be in the little room that you see on my own for maybe an hour and a half, just going through all of my shots, setting a camera up, just filming takes for all of my shots, until I just got kind of the feeling right. That's kind of what I tend to go off when I shoot reference. I tend to go off like, did I feel like that take nailed it, rather than like watching 50 takes through and being like, oh, in this one I did a slight eye dart or something like that, you know? So I feel like that was a pretty good way of working, and I've kind of continued to work this way. This was 5 years ago, so my workflow has definitely moved on a lot. I went to a place, maybe not direct, no, after this, well, not after this project, but I went to a place later in my career where it was very, very reference heavy, and it was like, oh, on this frame the hits are moving and stuff like that. So I kind of did this where it's kind of like loosely based on reference, and I'm kind of getting my like acting beats from it and just using parts that are useful, and then animating stuff just where I feel like it needed to just be animated and just done. I feel like now it's kind of a bit of a combination of both. I'm much more thorough with my reference than this. There is some stuff in here which is like pretty much one-to-one. I mean, this stuff isn't exactly one-to-one, but you can see a lot of like the acting choices and gestures and things like that. But now I will be much more thorough with my animation. And basically the way I approach references, especially with what I'm working on now, it's really hard to talk about animation with all the NDAs and not being able to talk about what you're working on ever. So the way I do things now is I like to, and let me just pull up my notes just to make sure I'm not skipping too much. I try to just use that as like a first pass of animation, basically. It's like the first thing I do, every shot I do, pretty much almost every shot. In here you'll see that there's some shots that aren't done, but this isn't my workflow anymore. This is just some old reference footage that kind of shows some reference while I babble. So I kind of want to pitch my shot before I've even started setting down a keyframe. I want to use my reference to get on the same page. The goal of my reference is to be on the same page as the director or lead animator or supervisor or whatever the person that you have to report to and get notes from and run your shot by, the person who basically makes the acting choice for your shot, as much as we animators want to be in control of that, or like says that this as a whole in the animation fits that. So whoever that is, you want to get on the same page as them as quick as possible. I feel like doing reference and running that by them, even if it's reference with like, oh yeah, he flies in on a paraglider and then does this jump into shot, but I'm not gonna do the reference for a paraglider. I guess you would just get reference for a paraglider and then do that. But I wanna, the goal isn't to impress the director or whoever with your stunning acting, and or to just have a laugh and then just be like, oh yeah, whatever, reference, I'm just gonna animate it anyway, what's the point? The goal is really to get on the same page as quickly as possible. So it doesn't really matter if they say, okay, I don't like this acting, I was thinking more this, because then you know what you need to be doing, because you would have spent all that time animating in Maya and they would have just said, oh yeah, we weren't quite looking for this, start again. And doing that by shooting reference, editing it for like an hour or so, that's a much more efficient use of your time and your creative juices, rather than putting stuff into Maya and it not working, basically. All right, let's stop looking at that, shall we? So we got Moss Bailey saying, a fun/frustrating thing for me is shooting reference. Trying to get it feeling right in the ref is a challenge. Well, you've come to the right place, Bailey, I hope. We're going to go through that today. Before you start, you get the audio and storyboards. You do get the audio and storyboards. That is a great way to obviously... Your shot's kind of planned for you already, you know, your director's being clear with what they want from the shot. So going further than that, we need to do a whole bunch of things. I'm gonna try and write while I talk here, maybe some more visual stuff than just having reference repeating on the background. So we want to look at those boards, any storyboards or reference, just anything that's provided to you. You want to get on the same page. This is before shooting reference. Page as, I'm gonna say director, but it could be whoever you need to report to show reference. We want to understand what's happening in the story. Sorry if my writing is messy, I don't really care. And what happens before and after that moment. Before / after that scene. If it's hooking up to another shot, hookups. So film yourself coming into the shot, film yourself coming out of the shot. Don't just quickly press play on the shot and then get into pose and then start acting. Like, press play, let it play through until you feel ready to start being in that moment that the character is in at the start of the shot. Hopefully that'll become clear once I start filming some reference in a minute. What else have we got? Just be the character. If you don't know the character, you need to learn about what the character is, what that character would be doing in that moment. And try not to be no inhibitions. Now, that's kind of counterintuitive to what I'm doing because I'm live streaming to people, so there's going to be some natural self-consciousness there compared to me just kind of running it through and taking my time. And I'm going to try to do that, which I'm going to try to kind of ignore you guys when I'm shooting my reference, but I thought it could be helpful to, you know, film stuff as I go and not just show the finished takes, because I like to upload my reference on this channel and you see it's kind of working with the animation and it's all fun, but it's not going to go like that, you know. The stuff I've prepared is hopefully new to me today, so I'm kind of going through it as I would on a real shot, and you're going to hopefully see the full workflow for that. So I think no inhibitions is important. At the end of the day, if you're embarrassed about doing reference or showing it to someone, that's kind of fine. Reference maybe isn't for you. I just look at this handwriting. This is awful. I just distracted myself. Come on, stay focused. Yeah, if you're embarrassed, then I don't know. I feel like it's more embarrassing if you're coming across as self-conscious and kind of not really doing a performance which is feeling like the character. Like, if I'm playing a little girl, then it's maybe embarrassing for me to show that to a director when I'm trying to be a little girl, but it's probably more embarrassing. I mean, it's more embarrassing, I think, in my opinion, to show a performance that just isn't genuine and doesn't feel like the character, you know? So I think being genuine is the big, I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a massive topic, and that's why I'm specifically kind of talking about the workflow of doing it, and rather than specifically how to apply that to animation. I think that can come later. There's so much to talk about with reference, and obviously we want to review some shots at the end as well. So yeah, I guess it's a bit like this stream. If I come into this stream unprepared with no research or no knowledge of the subject matter, or just not really knowing what I'm doing, I'm just gonna feel bad. I'm gonna have a crap stream. No one's gonna watch. It's gonna just go badly. But if I'm doing my preparation, I'm doing my research, which is all of these things, getting into the head of the character, just kind of being ready and doing all of your research that you can for that shot, it's just going to go so much smoother. So let's see what questions we got. Got quite a few in there. It's a much more active chat. I knew this idea would work. Common to be given a layout pass. Yeah, definitely is. Kind of depends. In TV, sometimes you do your own layout pass. I think on that, this reference of Digby Dragon, we had layout, I think. It's kind of like very rough layout, and then you might tweak some cameras and do things, but it kind of varies on studio to studio and like budget to budget, really. If you have a lip sync department, layout department. For lip sync, video actor doing dialogue, or is it repeating the words yourself? Figure out lip sync. I don't really use lip sync for reference very much. I feel like I guess the way I've been brought up as an animator in TV is just to kind of do lip sync as almost like as fast as the lip sync is happening, like super fast and not really like gushing over it or using a lot of reference. I mean, for me personally, I feel like filming the reference and not worrying about the lip syncs is a better way to go. You're worrying more about the subtext and what the character is thinking. How about references for actions that are actually hard to do in real life? So I feel like for those, find some reference for it. If it's actually impossible to do, then it's just not going to be, it's not going to be that believable in animation. You know, if you literally can't move from here to here in 6 frames and you're doing something realistic, of course, then maybe you should rethink and do something that you should use reference for. This is a big topic, and to be honest, this is something I kind of want to go into maybe in another stream. But essentially, I would try and find the best reference I can, and on top of that, layer myself in. For example, say I'm doing like a triple spinning kick, which I have no ability to do. I'll film myself doing something with the energy of that. I'm kind of squatting down because my camera's quite low. But I'll film myself doing something with like the energy of that. So then hopefully like I can use that in my animation to get the kind of beat and flow, and not really flow, but not really poses. It's kind of like getting the energy into your animation and the timing so that you can use that bit that's happening in your animation and say it's a spinning kick and I'm like, sure. Like even just kind of like doing something with a similar energy where I'm like, oh, like that's going to be helpful to have into my animation, and then go from there. And I don't know why I chose a triple spinning kick. It's kind of a bad idea, but I would essentially like film something as close as you can get to it, get something which is as close as you can get to it, and that's kind of all you can do, right? Like what else are you going to do? It's a really hard thing. Okay, so let's go to the task at hand. Enough babbling. So I decided to choose some audio and shoot reference for this. So this is this month's 11 Second Club. If you guys aren't familiar with 11 Second Club, it's a great kind of animation competition. Let's have a listen.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Cool. Let's listen again.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Cool. So it's pretty fun. I was going to say, oh, I'll just do one character and keep it simple. But realistically, I feel like this is a better shot with two characters. So let's go ahead and think about doing some reference for this, right? So first of all, you want to kind of do your research pass. Like I said, you want to get on the same page. So let's imagine that this scenario is... And you can do, like, I guess this is similar to a personal shot because it's not like within the scope of, within the confines of a production. So you're not relying on other people's shots, other parts of the story. It's like a confined thing, but you don't want it to feel that way. You want it to feel like it's part of a big story, and it's kind of like all part of one big thing. It will just add much more depth to it. So let's imagine that they're not just sitting over a desk having coffee. Like The story is maybe he has gone to an airport, said to the love of his life, don't leave, and she just leaves anyway. And then this woman is kind of trying to console him and make him feel better. Let's listen again. See if we can think of some backstory for her to give her.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
All right, so she is an exciting woman. I was going to make it funnier. If she's exciting, she's, I don't know, a daredevil or, I don't know, a pilot. They're in an airport, so could be that. Just see if I can set my focus. Whoa, HD, lovely. Yeah, so she's going to be an exciting person. He's going to be a bit of a no-hoper. He went to the airport, unfortunately, didn't get the girl, and it's not looking too good for him. So even that just kind of helps. I guess there's not too much more I can add to it. I don't like to think too much about, I mean, I do, but I'm not gonna like go down and write down like the emotional beats or anything. You can, and people do that, and that works super nicely. I'm just gonna keep it simple, because if you start going through all that stuff, it's just kind of more barriers to having your animation done, right? It's more barriers to having your animation, your reference done, edited, getting in front of the director. So let's just keep it simple. We're going with what feels natural. So we know the characters, we know what they would be doing in this situation. If we're in a production, obviously. Take some time to do this if you're working on your own personal shot. Set the scene, set the story that this happens within. So we kind of know what the characters would do. We know what they would be doing. And I like to almost do like an impression of what's happening, an impression of the voice. And I feel like that naturally gives you some performance, which is not just like thinking through it. I also can't just think methodology. I can't just think to myself, okay, in this moment she switches from sad to angry to, like, I'm just gonna naturally act it out. Obviously you're gonna get some of this from a director. They're gonna say, okay, in this moment he really is longing for this woman, or this is happening, or, you know, they're going to give you that subtext, which obviously helps, but I'm just not going to overdo it. I'm not going to overthink it. So let's have her come in, put her arm around the guy, and I don't know, do something fun. She's energetic. She is fun. She's not boring. We know that. So she's going to do something fun. He's going to do something which is like his voice, you know. I feel like it's quite obvious. So let's set up a scene, shall we? I'm gonna use my other camera to film this. Please work. Yes. Oh, is that working? Not really sure. Not sure what happens if I start recording that. Let's see. Okay, seems like it works. Cool, great. All right. Excuse the shorts. Bit of housekeeping to do as well. Cool. This is going to be the guy. I don't know what that crease is. Chair's going to be the guy. This bench. Convenient. Alright. So I'm just going to... It's probably going to be annoying for the stream, so sorry about that. I can't really do a lot about that. I need to just play it out loud. This is how it's going to go, I guess.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy.
Let me know if it's too annoying.
You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Here's Glenn. My little matey Glenn. Okay, put that on loop. Didn't loop.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when,
right now.
You know.
Talking to the camera takes me out.
Thanks for trying.
So if I
Come
don't,
on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. you're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting
Then I'll
guy.
kind of reset as it
you
plays,
remember
think about it.
that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
Cool, I'm
You're an
feeling good about some of
exciting
the acting in
guy. You remember that
Just feel like this is a
time
little
when,
bit contrived going in there, so maybe I need to
you know...
do something a bit... I want to come
Thanks
in
for
with the energy.
trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
Okay.
You're an exciting
one more take.
guy. You
Feel like there's
remember
things working
that
in there, things I
time
like.
when, you know...
Thanks for
Try
trying.
coming in as well.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on,
Okay,
Glenn.
there's things I don't like about
You're
that,
an
but I think there was one take
exciting
that I
guy.
did like.
You remember
So,
that
wait, did I even
time
press
when,
record? I didn't. We're gonna have to do
you
it
know...
again. Cool.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
Cool.
You're an exciting
One
guy.
more take.
You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
Alright,
You're
cool.
an exciting guy.
Feel happy about that
You
last take.
remember
Feel like that was probably
time
working
when,
the best of all of them, and so that's
you
what I'll go with.
know...
Thanks for trying.
I hope you guys
Come
can hear
on,
me over
Glenn.
that, just playing continuously. Yeah, I kind of feel like that last take was probably feeling like the best. There were parts of the previous ones that I liked, particularly I think the second take it was, just like the facial acting at the end. But I feel like the energy of the last one was kind of right, so I'll probably just take that in and kind of just use that. I do often do editing, but if the take works, then it works. All right, let's try being, what's his name? Greg. See what happens.
Come
just gonna
on,
play it
Glenn.
through,
You're
get
an
myself into
exciting
the character.
guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember
play through.
that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know...
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember
So I feel like
that
at that
time
point, I want to see how they're looking. I'm going to take them into my editing software. Bailey, that's exactly what I'm doing. Just letting it roll, picking out the takes. Let's jump over to DaVinci. Oh no, I set this up for streaming earlier and had to... Okay, I'm going to do this manually. Oh no. Okay. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. All right, DaVinci. I use DaVinci for editing. I love DaVinci. It's free, but that's not the only reason I love it. It's just actually, it's really good. It kind of does its best to keep up with things like Premiere and cool. I'm gonna grab these, drop them in. So I think it was the last take of this one, this first one, and I feel like I liked about half of the second one. So let me try and just put that in roughly. That's not gonna do it. Let's see what happens there.
You remember that time when,
Okay. That might do it. And then we can whack this guy in. Obviously, this is quite simple, to be honest. It's just like 1 or 2 references, so it should be fairly straightforward. What am I saying? Talkie. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and quickly look through these to see what I had. So I know that there was like a gap in between, so that reference won't be used.
come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's just whack that in there. It's going to be super boring to watch probably, but hopefully useful. So if it's boring now, I apologize. I'm hoping that it will get more useful. It's actually easier to kind of work back here. Wash. Cool, and then I'll just go in and literally try, because we've got the waveforms on here, which you can do in any editing software. Kind of match these big peaky bits. Feels like that kind of matches. What's going on here? Gonna have to watch it, sorry.
Thanks for trying.
Okay. Okay. Alright. You guys may not be able to see these waveforms. They are quite small. But they are there. And hopefully they will match. Oh, I promise I'm not this clumsy when I edit usually. The pressure of doing live editing. Ah! This is...
Trying.
Alright. Mute.
Trying.
Okay, they're matching now. What about this guy? He's not matching.
Trying.
We delayed a little bit there. That's fine. Just take that off. Ugh. Usually I do this one by one and kind of take the pics, but I'm trying to work fast and it's not going well. Okay. Ton of snapping. Okay, that's about matched up enough. They should all be kind of in an okay place now, matching wise. Let's take that and make sure. Oh, what's happened? Probably should have rehearsed this bit. See, plan to fail or fail to plan. Plan to fail. All right. All right. Let's take these and crop them. Some pro DaVinci tips here. I like to crop them. That's probably going to do it. Take this guy. Copy. You can quite handily copy, paste attributes, which is nice. And I can kind of just go in, take this position. Very nice. And let's take this guy. Put her over. Oh, okay, crop the wrong bit out of that. Let's take away that and crop a little more of that. Okay, we're going to need to not crop her so much. But let's see how it's working anyway.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy.
Alright, something weird has happened, probably.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on.
Okay, so I'm just clearly way too late with this one. I must have matched to the wrong bit. Let's see. Yes. Just a few technical issues. We'll be right back. There we go. This should look better.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
All right, cool. So I'm pretty happy with her. Gonna watch through a couple more times, focus on her, and see if we need to reshoot anything. We might need to. Let's just hide these and then get this over. This is the most important one for me. I feel like, obviously, the main character, the most dialogue, so let's just make her big like that.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
All right, so I feel like I like it. I just feel like the arm at the start is feeling a little weird. It's kind of like doing that punch that I do. So I just want to try something else with that.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time.
I feel like I
when,
like this bit. It's working fairly well.
You know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on. You know. You know. You know.
And then I can just edit that bit at the end to work better with the timing. And hopefully that will be fine. So I'm just going to do another take of that. Bear that in mind. Anonymous, there will be animation. There's just too much to cover with reference. I unfortunately can't go into animating as well within this. So, right, let me quickly do some reference. I'm going to leave this playing in the background, just so I can get that reference playing and get it going again. Let's go.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Right.
Thanks for
More energy as
trying.
well.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
All right.
You're an exciting guy.
Feel more happy
You
about that.
remember
A little more
that time
energy at the
when,
start. Sorry.
You know.
Pause that. Shush. Let's just bring in that new reference. This is exactly what I do when I'm putting together my reference. And literally, let's cut it in. I'm almost certain there's some handy matching tools for this. It's just usually I don't have to do it with the time pressure of people watching and things going wrong. Usually doesn't really take too much time.
Thanks for trying.
Well, that's pretty good. Let's see where we are at the start.
You're an exciting.
So that's that big, just matching the waveforms. It's feeling like maybe this.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy.
It's also helpful to kind of leave the audio running out of your computer, so then you can literally just match the waveform. It's pretty useful. All right, we're maybe, yeah, let's go 5 frames like that. See if that
Come
matches.
on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy.
Okay, that's matching. Let's see how that take works.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
All right, I'm kind of liking the arm on the knee kind of. You remember that time when I'm kind of liking that. So let's cut that in. I'm gonna put it in copy. I'm gonna paste attributes. We're in the same place. I'm just
Come
gonna
on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting.
Let's see what happens when we remove the bits I don't like.
Come on, Glenn. You're an. Come on, Glenn. You're an. Come on, Glenn. You're an. Come on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn. You're an.
Just wonder if that's not quite matching properly.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
All right.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. Come on, Glenn.
Really hate that it starts too late.
Come on, Glenn. You're an
Let's just move that. So I want it to be starting on this action. See if this works.
Come on, Glenn. You're an. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You're an exciting guy.
Kind of don't like that punch as well. I wonder
You're an
what we had
exciting
before.
Guy. You're an exciting. You're an. Come on, Glenn. You're an.
Okay.
Come on, Glenn. You're an. Come on. Come on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy.
Okay, I'm kind of liking that the way that those two are cutting together there.
Come on.
Like the energy is the same,
You're an
or like the energy is improved because I'm using the energy of the first one, but kind of that acting of the
Come on, Glenn.
using the energy of the second one, but the acting of the first one.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember an exciting guy?
All right, now I feel like it's good up to that point, and let's just kind of have a look to see which one I prefer of this bit.
You remember that time? You remember that time? You remember that time? You remember that time?
Okay, I'm kind of preferring that, I think.
Remember that? You remember that time when?
Okay.
You remember that time? You remember that time?
All right, so I feel like the face
You
here
remember that time?
kind of looks at camera, which is weird, obviously, but it's fine. I don't take the face into account too much with reference, to be honest. I feel like it's not that helpful. Again, that's maybe something we can go into another time. Reference is a huge subject. If we start talking about that.
You remember that time when, guy? You remember that time when, remember that time when,
Okay, I feel like it's good up to there. I'm liking it. Just gonna see what this one gives me.
time when, you know, that time when, you know, that time when, you know,
Okay, I'm feeling like the emotion, the beat that's happening in here is much clearer. So I'm gonna keep this
you,
and
you know,
I want that kind of clear change in there, which this first reference was giving me there. You see this moment here?
you know, you know, you know,
Thank-
you know, you know, you know.
All right, and then we just probably want to be a little earlier. I feel like can't get that timing right.
You know, you know,
Thanks.
you know.
Thanks for trying.
Cool, and now I like the acting of this new one better. So we have, for that one, some animation. Let's see how that looks.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn.
Cool. So we have that. And now we are gonna go ahead and leave that and move on to editing the other guy.
Come on.
Let's see what we have. Questions. Hey, what's up, TT? All guys say full progress. I don't know what that means, Anonymous, if you're still watching. Sounds like this is not fast enough for you. I'm not going from reference straight to animation, so apologies. This is the reality of filming helpful reference.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time?
So I can't really even see what's happening here, but I don't really care. It's for me, and it's useful for me, and I feel like that's all that really matters. I mean, if we go back to... This is going to be just using an example from Digby. If we go back to this, there's a moment here which was... I mean, literally this moment here. So if you watch the reference, I'm not even on screen. You can just see my arm, but I still use the reference. It was useful enough. I got the beat of it. I got what I had to put down, you know? I got what was happening, even though it's just an arm on frame, on the screen. This reference was enough to help me. And I'm not going to reshoot it. Like, I've got what I need from this reference. I'm not trying to make it fancy for anyone. This is enough, you know? This is for me, and I feel like, yes, useful to pitch to other people. If you are pitching it to directors, maybe take some more time, reshoot it. It's kind of up to you. I feel like, for the purposes of this, I'm fairly happy with just not really showing my face too much. But that's something I'll bear in mind with the animation. Okay, I'm kind of facing down, specifically here I'm talking about. So I'm kind of like facing down a bit too much and not kind of seeing my face. In the animation, I'll just lift the face up. I can still kind of tell what I'm doing there. I'm kind of doing this, and then I get happy.
That time when,
I think.
you know.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's the other version. But I can tell what I'm doing, you know? It's for me, it's useful for me. I'm getting what I need out of that. So having a fully finished animation in this is not the goal. I'm using this for reference. I'm taking what I need from this, which is beats, which is acting beats, and rather than kind of planning it through and thinking through it methodology. I need to learn what that word is. Thinking through it methodically, probably is the word. I'm just kind of going with it, getting what comes out, and this is going to give me some solid plan for my animation pretty quickly. Like in that Digby example, I spend an hour and a half out of all my planning for 2 minutes of animation, you know? It's a lot.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when,
I feel like this is a bit overdone.
you know.
Thanks for trying.
I feel like, honestly, I like this take a lot. Let's just see, not this one. Let's just see what it's like, if there's any bits that I don't like, and then I can maybe flick to the other one and see. I'm looking nice and dejected here. Obviously, taken my own advice and been acting in the character before the shot started. I'm not going from this pose to, you know, I'm in the pose at the start. Come into the shot, acting already.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on.
I'm honestly pretty happy with that reference. I feel like it's kind of giving me all the emotional beats I need. Obviously, the face isn't going to be as useful, but maybe with the camera that we use, I'm probably going to go from being up here to maybe a bit more down below. It's kind of, I guess it would be like they're sitting on a group of seats in an airport lounge, fairly flat on, probably a mid shot, just so you can see their faces, and that's what it's all about, to be honest. So.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting.
I'm not sure about the look towards her, so let's just turn that. Which one was it? Turn this one back on for that section. See what we got from that.
Glenn, you're an. Come on, Glenn. You're an. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy.
Alright, I kind of like that
You're
we're going
exciting-
back quite quickly with that. So maybe I'm just going to cut a little bit of this in.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. Glenn, you're
And then go back to what we had.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting. Come on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember?
And then, so I'm kind of thinking to myself how this is going to be useful to me. So I like what's happening with like the body mechanics
You're
of
an
this guy.
exciting
All right,
Come
kind of doing a nice look over.
You're an exciting guy.
He quickly gets back to being sad. He doesn't just linger over and go, I'm listening over here now. He's just barely looking and, oh, I'm so sad. Back to being sad. That's what I want from the shot. But I feel like the acting on this guy is just a bit better.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting.
I feel like it's a bit more, it's a bit less overplayed and not so, I'm so sad. It's just like, and again, this happens at every relationship I have. I always go to the airport and they always just leave, even though I've made a grand romantic gesture. It's so sad.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting.
So I know that when I use this one, I'm not going to be using this kind of like, it's like too overdone and too much with the expression. So I'm going to probably just leave these two side by side like that and have that one in there. But I know that I'm going to be using kind of the face of this.
You're an exciting guy.
And then even what happens there, I'm going to be looking back, not at her. So she's kind of come in and he's acting to himself rather than to her. You know, she says that thing and she's, yeah, I guess I am. And then she's going to prove me. And so I'm kind of working out all this subtext and things that are happening in their head and making sure that that's clear in my reference. Now that I've got the reference, it's like I'm planning as I've got the reference. If I want to go back in and shoot stuff, I can, but I don't have to. And I'm honestly feeling pretty good about this now.
You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when you know.
If I was pitching this to a director, I think I would go in and reshoot this bit just to kind of get that, just to get it happening to camera. Just because I feel like that's quite a clear beat that needs to happen. But just because it's for me and I kind of know what's happening there, I can decipher it, then I don't need to do any more, you know? All right.
You remember that time when
All right, let's quickly edit it so it's all kind of on the same thingamabob. Technical animation term.
exciting guy.
All right, I want to see all of this. Let's go over here a little. Let's move way over here. I mean, it would be fancy if he was in this position and I rotoed him, whatever. I don't really care. I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to cut this guy in for... Copy. Alt-V to paste attributes. Pretty helpful. And then I kind of want this guy just on the side. I don't want to lose that. I feel like it's kind of useful just to have both references. I'm not wanting to edit both of them out. So I'm just going to keep it there. And I'm going to just move that very slightly. It's only on frame for a few seconds, I guess, this guy. So it doesn't really matter that it's kind of covering this. It's the facial that I'm using anyway, so I'm not bothered. And let's just play through... What's happening there? Oh, because that's at the top. Okay. Move these quick.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when you know.
Thanks for trying.
Cool. Just make sure. I mean, I'm going to be looking at this for potentially weeks if I'm animating this, right? So let's make sure we've laid it out so it's helpful for us. We can see it all. Nothing's being cut off. We don't want to be cutting off anything that's really useful. So like, I want to see this kind of whole arm, see what's going on with that. That's kind of useful. Yeah, and then we'll deliver it. Rep. Add to render queue. Render. Let's have a look at the finished reference. But also, if I show this to the director and they turn around and say, feel like this person would be, then I just refilm reference. I maybe reuse some of it if it's like a complete change or whatever. It's quite easy to just refilm. I've done kind of the layout of it. I can go in, pop the reference in, like copy, paste attributes to that new reference. It's just going to lay it all out. This work is only kind of done once, you know? So it's pretty handy. And then we got some nice reference.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on, Glenn. You're an exciting guy. You remember that time when, you know.
Thanks for trying.
Come on.
Cool. I feel like that's enough to be using to animate. It's going to be helpful. I don't know why there's a weird crease on my chair. What's that about? Saggy. It goes away in one frame as well. Before and after I sat on it. Yeah. Does anyone have any specific questions about like workflow for making reference? I'm sure there are a lot. Like what happens when you got some more body mechanics, or I thought I would just start with what is useful for like 80% of shots, right? This is going to be your bread and butter. If you're a character animator and you're doing acting, and I know it's not always going to be 2 characters, so it's actually going to be a bit easier than this, but this is kind of the work I do when I'm doing my reference for every single shot. For like 80-90% of my shots, I'd say. So it's kind of more useful to go through this rather than being like, oh, but what about if someone's in space and they're doing a backflip off of a trampoline but in space, and then flying a parasail through Earth's atmosphere, so gravity is like increasing as we're going through the ozone layer, and then there's fire, and like it's a very specific shot, you know? It's going to be 0.5% of the shots that you animate are going to be things that you can't film reference for, or like very specific use cases. This hopefully is going to cover most of that stuff. And I think the only other thing that could probably be added to like this to cover most of your shots is going to be body mechanics. So with that, I would suggest that you find your body mechanics reference and then kind of act on top of that and kind of plus it with your own reference. So say you have like, the director says, okay, I'm just going to stop playing this now. Say you have like this dynamic run, the director wants to run exactly like that. Maybe there's like something in there that isn't exactly right, and you can just go ahead and like try and replicate that. And it's especially going to be useful like coming in to shots and going out of shots. Like say he jumps into screen and starts the run, like just film yourself jumping into a run. Like it's going to be helpful, and just edit that in. And it's super easy to just edit this and have really tight reference, which is going to be super helpful. And any body mechanics that you leave out is just going to be hard work that you're going to have to do in Maya. Even if you're super experienced, even if you're amazing at body mechanics naturally, it's hard work to get body mechanics working unless you have really good reference. I mean, maybe I'm just not good enough at body mechanics yet, but for me, I think body mechanics reference is just a no-brainer. Reference in general is just a no-brainer for 99.9% of shots. Do you use Keyframe Pro or import TIFFs in Maya in an image plane? Keyframe Pro all day, every day, if I have access to Keyframe Pro. If I don't, then it's just sad, and you import your TIFFs or JPEGs or EXRs or PNGs or whatever good stuff. But yeah, definitely I prefer using Keyframe Pro in a separate window and using the Keyframe Pro sync thingy. It's very good. Is there an order to move arms in a particular way, like shoulder first, then elbow, etc., to avoid gimbal lock after setting rotation order? You kind of just have to use, this isn't specific to reference, but I will answer it quickly. I guess you just use the rotation order that's best, like that gives you the least gimbal lock, and just kind of animate it on ones in the sections that it doesn't work for. Failing that, use a gimbal controller. So say you do like most of your kind of rotation this way and then rotation this way on one control, then use a gimbal controller to do like the Z control, the Z rotation, I guess. Or to choose IK, which generally is what I would end up doing. Just because then you're controlling the... We don't need to get into FK, IK right now, but that's... Yeah, well, that's what I do. I tend to not worry about it, just get the poses working nicely. If you do have any issues, hopefully it happens over 1 or 2 frames. If not, then you'll need to switch your rotation space, which is very doable if you have Animbot. You got a nice rotation order switcher, which is very nice. Let's see what else I had to talk about with reference. I think we're pretty much done with reference right now. We're not done with reference, but done with this session of reference, unless people have like specific workflow reference things. I would like to do another session, so if you do have questions, please do put those in the chat or on the Discord or on Twitter or just anywhere. I will endeavor to make this as thorough as I can to do with reference. So yeah, what else have I got on here? Do I do retiming? I don't. I tend to just reshoot the reference if the timing isn't working. If I can't cut in bits to make it work, I feel like retiming is not going to be that useful for reference. Personally, that's what I do. If I can't do it naturally, then I probably don't want it as my reference. I mean, I'm probably going to look for something which makes the reference work, I would say. Like if you're just doing a cartoony thing, then you're kind of not using that reference for much mechanics anyway. You're kind of using it for poses. So in that case, I still don't see the need to retime because you're just taking poses and you're kind of like mushing in between with weird cuts or whatever. Say, you know, you want to do a smear for that section and it's just like smearing from right to left. Like, you're not really going to need to like speed up your timing because it's just not going to be useful. So I can't really see a reason to do retiming in DaVinci and like speed things up or slow things down. I would just keep it all real time because then the reference is going to be useful as reference. I'm thinking if we do another session on this, some things I'm thinking of would be useful to go over are what I use from reference. So like what I'm specifically using from each part of that. I know I've touched on it now, but maybe if we get something that's a bit more like body mechanics heavy, or I'd kind of like to go through doing something like that, like editing into an existing kind of body mechanics reference could be really useful. But essentially the 3 things are the key poses, obviously, the extremes for the mechanics. So obviously this is like a key pose or whatever. This is a key pose. And then kind of this big up is like a mechanics extreme, you know? It's not necessarily a key pose. This is probably a key pose. You see what I mean? So I use it for key poses. Let me switch to... All right. Key poses, extremes, and timing. That's generally what I use my reference for. There's other little things, small nuances, sure. That kind of comes within key poses, extremes, timing. For me, anyway. In terms of face, I'm not using a ton of the face, mostly eye darts, beats, and that's, I mean, you're using poses, but like you're pushing your poses a lot. You're not kind of copying one to one. Yeah, there's just tons we can talk about, like acting reference versus body mechanics reference, differences in body types, different genders. Say I'm acting for like a massive ogre compared to a little girl. It's still me doing the acting, so how do those translate to those different things? I'm basically just saying things that I'd like to go over in the future. And if you guys would like that too, hit subscribe, join the Discord, say hi and chat. Just, yeah, leave your questions. I'd like to do another session on this and just really be thorough and make sure we get all of the reference knowledge that we can. All right, I feel like we should move on from reference and maybe take a look at some shots. That would be cool, wouldn't it? So we got a few shots today. There were more shots than this in the Discord, and there were ones I didn't get to last week. Unfortunately, I'm just probably not going to be able to do those unless I don't get any submissions next week or anything. So I prioritize people who haven't had a review before. Doesn't mean don't send your animations in anymore. I just feel like I feel like I can probably be more helpful to more people by doing things in this way and talking about one subject and having like a thread that goes through all of my stuff that I'm talking about, rather than individually giving feedback to individual people. So apologies if you are here for that, but we're going to do some of it at least. So it's a win-win, right? Reference, feedback, great. Let's bring back the shot count. We're on 20, I think we're on 27. I'm going to change it. We're on 27 shots out of 1,000. Oh, not 76. 27. And we have a shot here from Mr. Chabs. Before I start reviewing this, I'm going to have a drink of water, and I'm going to answer this question from Kevin. Do you use thumbnails to find ideas, bits in your video reference, or your video reference, then your key? Yeah, so I will just go through, and if I want to, I did with the shot I've recently worked on, so sometimes is the answer. I'll just go through, right, like key pose or extreme or whatever is kind of useful. For a body mechanic shot, I'm going to go through and kind of mark the ups and downs on the hips. Those are going to be my key poses for a body mechanic shot. I find that's useful. And then you can see the tick marks on Keyframe Pro and just kind of go through, because that's synced to Maya. And then you have, it's like a super easy way to just kind of like flick through your key poses and see that. Some people, if you go on Animator's Headspace YouTube channel, obviously in the new tab, don't leave this one. If you go on his channel, Usman, he's got a really cool workflow where he imports reference into Maya and then sets keys on it so that it's kind of in stepped and you can just see only your key poses, which I think is really cool. It's just I like to use Keyframe Pro personally. All right, shot. A katana shot from Mr. Jabs. Nice. So we got some body mechanics. Some pretty solid stuff in there. Looking good, looking good. Okay. initially, my thoughts are that we can be more dynamic with the posing. So, first pose, it's not really telling us a story, you know, he's just kind of, hey, I'm in a pose. This is a pose. You know, he's kind of like in a pretty standard pose here. Arms by the side as well. I feel like you could be much more dynamic here, be already in the action, you know, he could be doing something for this antic. Like, for example, what if he's kind of you know, what if he's just showing off a bit more of that sword? Could be more dynamic. Just, I'd probably, if you're looking for what to do, rather than just being like, oh, be more dynamic, it's not really that helpful, is it? What's the opposite of this, you know? So, kind of doing some of this. Probably, if you can, get a little bit more silhouette. Cool, let's just have the sword. I don't know. Let's say, for example, he's a bit lower as well. Ooh. So what's the opposite of this? So it would be this, right? And these arms kind of doing this. That's the opposite, which I think instinctively is why I would draw this as kind of your opening pose. It's just kind of the opposite of what the previous pose was. So it's going to be more contrasty and more dynamic and make your shot just a bit more interesting. Always look for contrast between your poses. Oops, massive eraser. Which hotkey is it? Hey, there we go. I was going to say we could probably just get a little bit more pushed here. Ooh. I feel like you could really push the line of action of this one. Boom. Let's like push that so he's just push the guy out of the way probably. I'm assuming that he's going to swing the sword round in the next bit, so let's kind of antic that. Obviously, I'm saying here to push him down as well, so his foot would actually end up here and his head would end up here. Boom. It feels a little weightless here. Just like he's going to fall. I know that he's moving this way, but just to keep him balanced, I'd probably have him a bit more in this realm. Just feeling a bit broken in that torso. And probably the leg as well. Feels like you could probably be... I do like what you got going on with the arms. They're kind of together and... Yeah, this could be cool. Bam. Juan, all the streams are uploaded. As soon as they finish, you can just watch them. So all good. I put them in a little playlist on, I think it's just live stream. If you just go to live on my channel, you can see all the past live streams, and this one too. You want to have a look? I think this is honestly pretty nice. Quite like this pose. Could possibly be pushed even more though, of course. But I do like it. I'm wondering if you could like even do something that way. Not sure. Possibly. I don't know. I think this is cool though. Let's go with that. Something to think about anyway, I suppose. On the flick round, it does kind of pop into this one form. I know it's obviously moving very fast, but we kind of just pop into that angle. Definitely. Probably have the arm coming over here. Get some of this. And then probably a good opportunity for a smear. Kind of have it come to maybe here, and if you wanted to. And then definitely want to feel that kind of resolve, the spacing of that. It's just a bit too fast right now. We'll probably have something a bit more like that. And then smear could be nice too here. I honestly feel like maybe you could even push this one a bit more. Let's get that arc down. I don't know. Let's, for example, try that. Could be something to consider. I just think when you're doing spacing from here to here in one frame, you need something to bridge that really. Thanks, one. All right, and then the last pose as well. Just a bit too, I get that you're wanting to kind of play nonchalant. Let's just kind of push that pose a bit more. The whole nonchalantness. And that goes to the start as well. If you just want to do something a bit more like this, then that's cool. As opposed to the more dynamic one that we drew. Just kind of, to be clear, kind of lifting the shoulders there. I think that could be cool. Particularly with the body mechanics, I would work on this transition here. Feel like we're going quite fast over to screen left with the head. Boom. You kind of leave that behind a bit more, I feel. Boom. Transition into, obviously, the drawing I drew before. Wow. I like that you kind of hold the spacing here. It's cool. Want to be cleaning up that pose a bit more. Feel a little broken. And then this transition is cool. Yeah, very nice. Good stuff. Thanks a lot for sharing. Hope that helps. Next. All right, we've got a Seagull. Let's just play this. This is from Blitz in the Discord. There's audio for this one as well.
I trusted you. And you betrayed me.
Cool.
I trusted you.
It's a Seagull doing some dialogue.
You betrayed me. I trusted you. And you betrayed me.
So I think initially the camera angle is not working for me super well. I guess someone else drew this circle. Wasn't me. I actually kind of like the whole idea of coming in close and like being... I assume he's talking to the camera here. I feel like could possibly be pushed so we're not losing the beak. Let's try and... I don't know. Got some kind of Sid the Sloth eyes going on. Possibly even like push this so it's even more like foreshortened into camera. And I would, with the eye, just make sure that it's kind of looking at us. If there's a way to get the other eye involved as well, I feel like that could be cool. Almost imagine him like super angry. Angry? Who says that? God. Cringe. It's because I was thinking about this tweet I did yesterday. It's of a tree that was angry. And I kept thinking, angry? Do people write angry? Is that cringe? Guess it. And then I thought to myself, yeah, it's cringe. That's why I'm not going to write it. And I've just said it on stream. Gosh. Anyway, lovely. Feel like we could be, I don't know why I drew him so high in frame. I guess I was trying to get the beak in. Probably want to be more framed, I guess, down here. Ooh. Get that nice. I'm drawing eyebrows, but doesn't have eyebrows. Yeah, that's what I'd say for the start. For the end, for the start pose, I just wonder if you could like get something not so extreme, almost like he's, I don't know, maybe just on a wall, and he's a seagull, seagull legs, and he's doing a bird thing the birds do, and he's maybe talking, and we're like, haha, very funny, and then. What a seagull. And then we like push in with the camera at the end to get this kind of final framing of the the payoff of like the big close-up facial.
I trust.
That bad, Osner.
I trusted you.
And for me, throughout, there's kind of like a bit too much movement. Like here, I'm not sure what he's doing there. He's kind of like, and then doing this movement, I feel like he could just be the stiller the better. He's like, trusted you. And that would play better for this kind of like serious Seagull thing. This all kind of, this movement and stuff. And the hands up. I feel like simpler the better here. Just to sell that comedy of like super serious Seagull that looks like this.
I trusted you. I trusted you.
And then I think like doing the big I trusted you is just a bit like too contrived for what I feel like the Seagull would be doing. For what I feel like the Seagull would be doing. Is that something I just said? I feel like if you wanted to get the hands involved, you could be like, I trusted you. And then maybe a fist, you know, just something a bit more, I guess, playing up to the whole seriousness of it. He doesn't feel serious when he's like, I trusted you. I'd keep him kind of quiet and chill.
Trusted you.
And here's like a good reason for not having the camera where it is, because when he's doing this like big head back thing. See, if he's a Seagull and he's on the ledge here. Seagull. And he does that big head thing, then you're kind of seeing that as like body language and it's working. But where it's such a close up, you almost want to be like in the face. I trusted you. But because we're doing all these big broad movements, and I feel like being further away would be better.
You. And you betrayed me.
It is funny that you overlap the beak.
You betrayed me. You betrayed me.
And I also like that you're kind of sneering here as well. That's very nice. Probably push it more. Anything you can do to clean up lines and stuff? Like kind of this mushy stuff that happens in some places. And I try and hold that sneer as well, like betray. And then we have like a boom. I feel like that could be nice.
And you betrayed me. I trust you.
Yeah, overall I'm kind of finding it hard to connect with him with the one eye. I feel like getting two eyes in there would help. Maybe there's a control to move the eyes. Just almost give him a bit of a redesign, you know? Look at Sid the Sloth, how they go about animating him with the two eyes on like the different side of the head. Yeah, that's about it for this one. Quite broad notes, but hopefully it helps.
You betrayed me. And you betrayed me. You betrayed me.
I would also say get him down sooner, just in like the context of this animation. If he's like, and you betrayed me, I feel like you're kind of missing that betrayed me. Like the big moment is that betrayed. I just feel like I want to be down there for that, you know, and you betrayed me, you know. Probably time it just to happen a bit sooner. All right, last one, Julian. Loading. Cool. Play it and drink some water. Pretty cool. Just mesmerized, sorry. Okay, looking nice. Liking what the camera's doing. I feel like that's quite nice. Just feel like maybe we could like give him more room to jump here. I feel like we could reframe somehow so that he could be maybe over here. I'm just gonna draw him as a ball, but he's over here, right? You can tell I've done coming to the end of the stream with drawings like this. But that'll just kind of give him a bit more dynamism when he jumps, you know. We can get this kind of big, seeing him side on. At the moment he's jumping towards camera and it's just not giving us a lot. Like if we look through some of these poses, it's kind of like, if you looked at this as a pose, it's not super clear. Whereas if you're kind of seeing him maybe like this, and I guess these are his shoulder pads, and oh no, this isn't gonna be. I guess if we're like seeing more of this, I'm obviously drawing him quite roughly, but I don't know, say his arm's there or something, and kind of jumping forward with that arm. If we're just kind of seeing, I'm gonna stop drawing in black, but like more movement like this, as opposed to movement like this, where everything, all of the action is kind of happening, like maybe he gets hints of it from like round here, but if we can see him jump from over here over to here, like off screen, then we're gonna get this kind of like cool big moment where he's up close past the camera, jumping past, and we get this like nice big arc we use in that screen space. I feel like that would just be better for this. So I'd probably, I guess, delay where when that camera gets to over here. Maybe that would help. Something like that. Just give him a bit more dynamism. In terms of the run, it feels a little pedestrian. I wonder if that's because of the kind of like T-pose hand, where it's just kind of like, maybe you want to consider giving him a fist. See if we can get some more energy in some of these poses, shall we? Let's start with this one. I feel like it's a clear key. You know, he's really running for his life. Ah, huge eraser. Does this drawing make sense? Hopefully it does. It's kind of like, these are the shoulders. Not Not really sure what I'm trying to go for here, but just try and get some more dynamism. Obviously, depends on your camera a bit, but so this is like the arm, obviously. Same here. Not really sure what this arm would be, to be honest. Maybe it wouldn't be at that angle. Maybe it would be something just a bit more like this, or I don't know, just like foreshortened. Probably foreshortened actually, isn't it? Something like that. So that's like the arm. Whatever you can do to like fill this line more than this line, kind of feeling like it's kind of this line through the animation. It's kind of like running. You kind of want him to be like, oh, I need to get out of here. Or Usain Bolt in it. Like here, it could be nice to just get a bit more rotation, like a bit more of a reversal. Not huge, to be honest. It's not like I don't even know what I'm drawing for the legs, to be honest, but yeah, not huge. I also feel like if you look here, it's like super unclear. It's like you've got the dragon hand here kind of merging into his hand. Definitely try and get some clarity on that. Like if this dragon is jumping, and I mean, even I don't want to give you a massive drastic change, but if this dragon went down here, like slivered over, we're drawing the seagull again. This dragon went down here and did this arc, it would just clear up all of this, you know? Push this. And then we don't really get that like big down with the arms to propel him up. Like, that could be cool. So obviously, bearing in mind what I said with the camera note, we had his arms kind of like come down here. So you get that kind of like that, right? That was the chair, I swear. Like, a super cartoony way to show it is like he's going into this jump pose and doing the antic. And then he is jumping off into a big jump with arms by the side. And he's just kind of going from contrast to contrast. And I've drawn that off screen, just to be extra helpful. And I've just turned on ghosting. Okay. Go from this to this, right? And if you do that with the arms, it will just give you a lot more pop. Or get the arms up sooner, so they're up here, like now. Drive through. This is like an alternate idea, I guess. Do it in green. Drive through. Boom. So he's kind of doing the Superman thing where would then kind of lead out with the arms. I'm not even going to try and draw this in perspective, but yes, he is doing the Superman thing. And this is a big arm coming towards us. I just think in general, like having that coming more towards us and having more contrast, going from like smaller pose to when he jumps to us, like having his head all the way, having his head like all the way in screen here and going off screen would be much more dynamic, you know, if we come from over here to over here, as opposed to like over here to like maybe here or here when he goes off screen, which is kind of what you have right now if we play through, you know, his head just kind of stays the same size. I think getting him coming towards camera is just going to be cooler. He said you were mostly looking for notes on him, so that's probably what we'll stick with. But yeah, I just think a little bit more energy, just staging that end a bit differently, and maybe doing more energy in the arms, and also getting him coming past camera at the end will all help. I feel like there was maybe a pop in here that I was noticing when I first watched. Not really that essential, I guess. But... Alright, so... Boom. Alright. What I'm noticing here, I'm going to go for yellow now. Kind of... This makes sense, body mechanics wise. And then I feel like he wants to, boom, power off here. If I play through and watch this bit, kind of goes down here, which is cool. Starts easing up, and then it just like continues that ease up. I feel like it's time to push up. If I look at his knee, it's like popping down, and I feel like if you just raised him, the knee would kind of stay up a bit more. Maybe even like pushed him even more, so that kind of maintaining. Who knows? Could be up here. Just really like pop out of that, really. We get this up here, and then we're kind of going into a straight. We're not kind of getting this then big pop in the knee that we have at the moment. You know, where we're going from up here to down here to then back up. So that gives you more pop into the big jump, and then also solves that knee pop issue. And gives you more hang time, like more fun in the end. Then we're kind of like up here, and then obviously taking into account previous notes, but I don't know what I'm drawing now. It turns into a flame and then flames out of there. In terms of the dragon, just quickly, because I notice it like when he's flying in, I feel like we can be less kind of clumsy with it. You can be more elegant with his posing, you know, he's like a cool hunkering dragon. I realize that it's off screen right now because of my wide screen. So let's work out what hotkey moves that. And there it is. He's kind of doing this like, I'm shocked pose, you know? I feel like you could definitely do something a bit more dynamic with him. I know you said you haven't worked on it that much, so don't worry too much, but oh no, what have I committed to doing here? I have to draw. Cool. Probably give him a bit more weight, which means give him more overlap. And just like, maybe here he's still on the way down. His arms are like fully, boom. Like he's still jumping and he's still getting that air time. Maybe even these are like just dragging a bit. Ooh. Could be cool. Guess he's got the wings to like propel him up, but everything is just gonna take a while to get to its final place. It's like everything is a lot of weight and a lot of effort to make him feel cooler. Like here, the spacing kind of speeds up a bit when he hits. Like you could just take more time with that, have him come from like over here and like use that head angle to do your kind of contrast and shape change. And if you whacked against the wall going from this pose, you're going to feel it like going into the wall over here. And I'm off screen again. Can I get it right? Nope, always wrong. There we go. And then here his clarity is just not really there. Like I'm not really sure where his body is, and it's just like completely hidden. I feel like there's a way you could maybe clear that up a bit. It's cool. Like if you don't want to make him go down lower, make him go up higher, so that we're not like completely merging the two silhouettes here. Like he's turned into some kind of Metroid Machamp. So have him like this arm up here and fully barely seeing him, you know, seeing maybe the legs through here, sure. Maybe a bit there. Even that wouldn't be super clean, but just trying to lose that as much as you can. And then here we kind of like ease into this land. I know you said you haven't worked on him, but I'm just giving notes anyway. Maybe useful for other people, but I feel like we can go from a big to we can go from a big stretch here. I'm just gonna delete this. We can kind of come from like here, you know, and then slam down into that big reversal where we see him slam down and feel the legs slam down and feel that weight. Because he kind of just gets down there and sticks, you know, he's like, I'm hiding, and then he's going to jump up, you know? So you want to feel that weight all through there and then the big bite at the end. Anyway, thank you very much for submitting, to all who submitted. I hope the reference thing was helpful. Feel free to join the Discord. We're getting there. I think probably we're at 100 people now, which is massive. So join that, like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Look out for the next video, and that's it.